This is a community-supported legal education channel. Find out how you can support our mission at the links in the description below. So there's been some updates in the Tardigrades suit here, and I want to take a look at what these two filings are. Here is the first filing. This is the Anas Osama Ibrahim Abdin appeal brief that he filed January 10th, 2020. And then we also have the CBS broadcasting brief. Both of these are long, but they're in this somewhat shorter format with these sort of larger pages. And so let's take a quick look here at the brief of Mr. Abdin. Plaintiff, an indie developer, completed and published several forum articles, artwork, and audio-video characters and creatures, which formulated the basis for his science fiction script for an upcoming video game / storyboard. So I guess it's something that's unreleased. Plaintiff's tardigrade creature is inspired by science, a real-life microscopic tardigrade. As a whole, Plaintiff's work is creative and clearly meets the standard for copyright protection. Plaintiff alleges access to his work via the Steam game platform, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit, and has yielded approximately 13.2 million views. The Discovery Series 1 writers had access to Plaintiff's work prior to the production and airing of Discovery in 2017. The writers had access in particular with the Steam gaming platform, of which members of the writing team are members. So according to Mr. Abdin, there is access. Remember, it has to be access and a substantial similarity. The Steam game platform voted to allow the indie game on its website November 2015. The defendants announced the possibility of a new show, Star Trek Discovery, in October of 2016 with the hiring of Brian Fuller. The defendants' use of Plaintiff's material was essential to the Star Trek Discovery's entire first season, including its derivative works created therein. As stated by the CBS-owned official Star Trek website, the Spore Drive technology of the USS Discovery is surprising in itself, but the Spore Drive is more than merely a plot device. It is, in essence, a character itself symbolized by the tardigrade. Upon information obtained from Limited Discovery, 3 of the Star Trek Discovery head writers and creators are Steam members and were purportedly polled in the greenlight process. The indie game's characters, the tardigrade and various crew members, are substantially, if not strikingly, similar to the defendants. Plaintiff asserts that the defendants misappropriated his work by copying various portions of that work. The court granted Limited Discovery based on potential access to Plaintiff's work. Plaintiff argued that defendants' writers had access to his work via Steam and or voted for the plaintiff's game in the greenlight process. After defendant failed to comply with Discovery, the district court granted a motion to compel. On the Discovery due date, they produced a fraction of the information requested, a list of individuals who were creators or writers relating of the tardigrade creature episodes. No other discovery was forthcoming. It was revealed, however, that to the best of defendants' knowledge, at least 4 people did in fact have access via the Steam game platform. With such limited discovery, Steam was able to verify voting for or against plaintiff's game. Again, with the limited information Steam produced no results regarding voting, however, the broader issue of access remains unresolved. Finally, defendant made a motion to dismiss. The defendant's motion to dismiss erroneously argued, according to plaintiff, that plaintiff's copyright claims fail as a matter of law because there is no substantial similarity, that CBS contends the similarities stem from the comparison of the parties' works that are features of real-life tardigrades, that CBS contends that plaintiff's visual art representing a real-life creature cannot be original and not protectable. CBS urged the court to extract non-protectable features from their analysis and utilize the more discerning test, as opposed to the reasonable observer test, I guess. The CBS contends the remaining similarities between the parties' works are that both tardigrades are enlarged from their microscopic size and able to travel unprotected in space. They believe these concepts that flow naturally and predictably from the real-life space-resistant tardigrade in a space-based fictional work equates to scène faire. We've seen scène faire before. That's scenes that must be done. That's basic scenes like 2 people on a bench in a park. You can't copyright just two people on a bench in a park. It's the specifics of what you created within that scene, and therefore have no copyright protection. CBS argues that predating works with similar use and application of the tardigrade creature prevent plaintiff's work from being considered original, and CBS argues that any other similarities identified or that exist are random, scattershot, and trivial similarities that cannot establish substantial similarity. September 20th, 2019, the district court issued a written opinion granting CBS's motion to dismiss on the basis of no substantial similarity as a matter of law. The district court decided that the concept of large tardigrades that can fly through space and interact with characters lacks originality. In using the more discerning test, the district court dissected the works based on a lack of originality and gave short shrift to the overall concept and feel of plaintiff's work. The work was not viewed as a whole, according to plaintiff. The district court explained that works which use similar concepts prevent the plaintiff's work from copyright protection based on lack of originality. Such works are listed as a children's fantasy novel entitled The Search for Wandla, which details a large tardigrade that interacts with the characters, a YouTube video, Captain Tardigrade, which includes a humanoid with the head of a tardigrade which flies in a spaceship, and a television series of Cosmos, which presents the tardigrade's ability to survive in space. The district court further held that the juxtaposition of the plaintiff's tardigrade enveloping a human and the defendant's human injecting himself with tardigrade DNA result in no similarity on how the tardigrade assists a human with space flight. The district court relied on Sheldon Abend Revocable Trust v. Spielberg, which defines the test for character similarity as totality of the character's attributes and traits, as well as the extent to which defendants' characters capture the total concept and feel of figures in plaintiff's work. The district court's analysis failed to follow the Sheldon test. The plaintiff's characters were dissected into components and each component analyzed separately. Such analysis is not the standard in this circuit and contrary to Sheldon. The district court compares the plaintiff's and defendant's tardigrade to a real-life tardigrade. It concluded in error that the physical attributes of a tardigrade are to be considered non-protectable facts, therefore a finding of no substantial similarity. It's true that facts are not copyrightable, but, here is a fictitious interpretation of the facts of what a tardigrade is. There is no actual fact of a tardigrade causing transport in space or enveloping a human or something, so at least there's some kind of creativity there, is what I think he's arguing. The district court, in comparing the color of plaintiff's and defendant's tardigrade, dismissed the copying of the color of plaintiff's works. The district court distinguishes defendant's presentation of a blue tardigrade as only being a lighting effect, thus determining no similarity in error. The district court considered the main characters and concluded in error that they are characters with generalized, non-protectable descriptions without any analysis of plaintiff's original visual depictions. The district court determined the overall feel of the works after extracting all original elements which it deemed to be non-protectable, erroneously concluding no similarity. The district court rejected plaintiff's arguments that originality does not mean that the work for which copyright protection is sought must be either novel or unique. Copyrighted works only require original creation. A subject which is found in nature can be creatively expressed in the artist's own rendering, and therefore the ordinary observer test applies, and courts should not merely dissect the works at issue into separate components and compare only those elements which are in themselves copyrightable. Let's see what else is in here. So they're saying that the more discerning test should not have been applied. I'm not sure that they described the more discerning test. So the more discerning test is actually called the more discerning observer test, and it is used to assess substantial similarity when the plaintiff's work has both protectable and unprotectable elements, which sort of sounds like the tardigrades thing here. The fact finder, judge or jury, must first weed out the unprotectable elements and then assess the similarity of defendant's work to the protectable elements in plaintiff's work as a whole. This is a Second Circuit Court of Appeals test. And so they argue that his creations demonstrate originality. They say that the graphics and video demonstrate creative energy which sparked his development of the game. The court compares two obscure references to the children's books. I think we've gone over this in the dismissal of his lawsuit. He argues that originality does not signify novelty. A work may be original even though it closely resembles other works so long as the similarity is fortuitous and not the result of copying. Plaintiff's characters embellish on the tardigrade characteristics. Plaintiff's tardigrade is large, can envelop a human being, it's blue, etc. And so he asks for the court to the appellate court to order the lower court to reconsider. So he is really, really certain that his tardigrade story, it's in total, should be sufficiently original to merit copyright protection. Let me just skim through this a little bit more. Here are some of his exhibits showing the similarities between the tardigrade characters and some of the story characters. The court, having stripped originality, led the court away from substantial similarity and to the more discerning test, which in turn led to the excessive dissecting of plaintiff's work. So what he's saying is that the court should have looked at the total concept and feel of the works and not gone straight to the individual elements and, well, is this one particular thing a copy of this? No. Okay, so not original or not copyright infringement. The district court's analysis erroneously concluded in a finding of non-originality and did not consider the plaintiff's work in the aggregate or a whole. So yeah, he's saying that they went too deep into individual elements of copyrightability and didn't look at the overall concept and feel. I don't know if you remember the Zootopia lawsuit from a few years ago. There was an author who presented a treatment to, I guess it's Disney, and that was his treatment was similar to what Disney ultimately released as Zootopia, but his treatment was also different in some ways. And the court there did seem to take the total concept and feel in the aggregate of the two stories to see if they were very different or very much the same. I think we had paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs about how the two works were the same and how they were different and what the story plot line and creation and characters and settings and everything were. And that was very detailed. I don't know that Mr. Abdin's pre-published creation, his storyboarding, I don't know if all of that has that level of detail. And I guess that's what the argument is here, is was it sufficiently detailed enough to reach a level of copyrightability? So let's see if we can find anything worthwhile in CBS's brief here. And CBS starts, "This appeal presents a straightforward issue whether the copyright claims were properly dismissed on the grounds that the parties' works are not substantially similar as a matter of law, a foundational requirement of a copyright infringement claim." CBS is the creator of Star Trek Discovery. The first season includes a space-traveling creature based on the tardigrade, an actual Earth species well known for its unique ability to survive in space without any protection. According to Abdin, the tardigrade as depicted in this 13-second clip is the heart of his work and lies at the center of this dispute. Based on the parties' common use of a space-traveling tardigrade, Abdin commenced this action on the premise that those involved in the creation of Discovery saw and resolved to copy his 13-second clip, and then somehow scripted, produced, shot, edited, and broadcast the first season of Discovery to incorporate his tardigrade in the mere months between the posting of his video and Discovery's release. That seems like a fair argument to me, but, details. The devil's going to be in the details. Accepting this fantastical premise as true, the district court correctly held that Abdin's copyright infringement claims fail as a matter of law because the parties' works are not even remotely, much less substantially, similar in their protectable expression. Abdin, of course, owns no copyright monopoly over the depiction of tardigrades or tardigrades that can travel in space, a generic and unprotectable idea that flows naturally from tardigrades' well-known ability to survive in space, and indeed, a concept appearing in numerous works that predate Abdin's. Beyond this unprotectable commonality, the district court correctly concluded that a comparison of the parties' disparate works provides no basis to deem them substantially similar, and so Abdin's claims thus fail as a matter of law. Let me scroll down here. This one's going to be long, so I'm going to try to shorten this up. They talk about how tardigrades are water bears, near microscopic animals known for their ability to survive in inhospitable environments and space. Swedish and German scientists launched the Tardigrades in Space project in 2007 to study the effects of space radiation exposure on tardigrades aboard the space agency, the European Space Agency's Photon M3 mission. Since that discovery, the concept of tardigrades in space has been explored and discussed extensively within the scientific community. The Russian Space Agency in 2009 carried the Life Interplanetary Flight Experiment containing samples of Earth life, including tardigrades, to the innermost moon of Mars. In May 2011, tardigrades were carried aboard NASA Space Shuttle Endeavour for further space-based experimentation by the Italian Space Agency, as discussed in a contemporaneous BBC article that includes the following image of a tardigrade. A simple internet search for tardigrades revealed dozens, if not hundreds, of articles concerning tardigrades' ability to survive in space. So they're really doubling down on, hey, we won, and by the way, lots of people like tardigrades in space. Okay, but I think that's, I'm not saying, we've only gotten 5 pages into a 43-page document, so I don't want to be too unfair to CBS back in reverse, but it seems that CBS is being a little unfair, that his, Abdin's argument wasn't, hey, I copyrighted tardigrades in space. It's more, I copyrighted my expression of my version of tardigrades in space. It's his version of tardigrades in space that he's upset about. The fascination with tardigrades in space has extended beyond the scientific community and into works of fiction. They list a whole bunch of them. The Search for Wandla, The Science of Discworld, Judgment Day, Cosmos, and Captain Tardigrade, etc. Abdin is the creator of an unreleased but allegedly greenlit video game. I mean, it's literally the Steam Greenlight program, called Tardigrades, originally titled Epic, which he posted online between May of 2014 and July 2017 in the form of articles, artwork, and videos. Abdin compiled these materials on a video file submitted with the third amended complaint. The video compilation first runs through an approximately 30-minute series of 23 short YouTube videos and follows with approximately 13 minutes of additional video showing static posts taken from Abdin's blogs on the websites. None of the videos or blog posts contained in the video compilation are alleged to be registered for copyright. Abdin's game concept is also distilled into a treatment that was also annexed to the third amended complaint. Abdin registered the distillation June 28, 2018. Discovery first aired in September 2017. So he's looking for actual damages here. He won't have copyright, so statutory damages. Together, the video compilation and distillation comprise the totality of the works claimed to have been infringed. As described in the distillation, Abdin's game concept is a single-player, user-driven video game set on a space station orbiting Jupiter in the year 20,000 BC, when Earth's civilizations are about to discover intergalactic travel. The video game follows Carter, a blonde male botanist who lives on the space station Marcy 3. Other than Carter, the distillation also includes short vignettes depicting and briefly describing 7 of the video game's characters with no description spanning more than a few sentences. The distillation describes the game as including an unspecified plot twist and general themes spanning slavery, secrecy, and espionage without any details. The materials included in the video compilation likewise provide little information concerning the plot or thematic elements to be explored in the video game. Rather, it consists of short, disjointed video teasers and one-off blog posts with no cohesive plot framework. Other than that, the game centers on the Marcy 3 space station. The only other overarching theme running through these materials is that the game will feature pharaonic, as in like pharaohs, Egyptian elements in keeping with the ancient timeline in which the game is based. For example, the game's logo is described in one post as a combination of the water bear posing as an ancient Egyptian scarab holding a crook and a flail accessorized with 2 wings. The distillation depicts 2 pictures of Abdin's tardigrade relevant to this appeal would show a large blue tardigrade enveloping Carter. No explanation is provided of this tardigrade hug other than a short description of scientific facts concerning actual tardigrades, including that they can survive higher doses of radiation and the vacuum of space. So they're saying he hasn't sufficiently fleshed out his treatment and that it's not sufficiently original for those concepts to be protected. I'm going to guess they're going to say, unless it was an actual direct copying of his artwork and his exact description, like word for word, verbatim kind of thing, that it's not going to be substantially similar. It would only be able to reach something like per se or actual copying, and that didn't happen here. The video compilation also includes scant depictions of Abdin's tardigrade or relevance to his game concept. As an initial matter, the blog posts feature no tardigrades except as shown in the YouTube videos. As to these YouTube videos, the first set of 14 videos relate to Abdin's original epic game concept, 20 minutes, none of which depict any tardigrades. Only in the final 9 videos, from 20 minutes to 29 minutes, relate to Abdin's rebranded tardigrades game concept. In totality, the approximately 10-minute sequence of tardigrade-related videos contains only 2 distinct video snippets depicting Abdin's tardigrade. The longest sequence is a short 13-second clip that appears in only a single video, in which an enlarged blue tardigrade envelops Carter, as seen here. This is the same tardigrade hug sequence shown in the distillation. This video was first posted to YouTube July 12, 2017, only 2 months before Discovery's release. Now, okay, if Discovery was released 2 months later, how in the world did they write, script, shoot, edit, both the script and the video editing, proofread, reshoot, hire all the actors and all that in 2 months? I'm going to doubt they did all that in 2 months. It sounds like they were doing that before it actually got published 2 months later. The video compilation's only other depiction of a tardigrade is even shorter, less than 1 second closing sequence in several of Abdin's videos, each time showing a small, poorly defined tardigrade fading into the background. Of the materials in the video compilation, only a single blog post provides any relevant information concerning the significance of the tardigrade, noting the proven scientific facts that tardigrades can survive extreme conditions. That part is probably not copyrightable, because that's a fact. Apparently, for these reasons, Abdin's tardigrade hug system works to protect the human occupant while floating through space. Though this blog post references space travel, no mention is made anywhere in the distillation or the video compilation that Abdin's tardigrade is capable of instantaneous space travel, as incorrectly alleged in the third amended complaint. Defendant appellees, CBS, own the rights to Star Trek Discovery, a recent addition to the Star Trek franchise. Discovery tells various interweaving storylines about the adventures of the USS Discovery and its crew through 15 episodes of the first season, which aired September 2017 and February 2018. The series begins with the commencement of a war with the Klingons, prompted by the actions of the protagonist, Michael Burnham, a Vulcan-raised human played by an African-American female. The Klingon War is the underlying thread throughout most of the season. Later episodes also focus on the Discovery's attempts to escape a mirror universe in which they have become stranded. One of the many storylines enmeshed with these 2 primary story arcs involve the rescue of a creature named Ripper, of a species considered a cousin to the Earth-based tardigrades, whose DNA is used to aid the functioning of the USS Discovery's experimental mycelial spore network drive space travel technology. The Federation has discovered a type of fungus called mycelium that has a root system extending through subspace, which can be used as a platform to jump instantaneously to any location in the universe. The mycelial spore drive, referred to as the DASH displacement-activated spore hub drive, is an experimental propulsion system that uses mycelial spores as its power source to travel along the subspace network. Lieutenant Paul Stamets leads the DASH research team aboard the USS Discovery. As described in episodes 3 and 4, the DASH drive can only jump short distances reliably across the mycelial network, defeating its primary purpose and benefit to the Federation. Discovery's tardigrade creature, Ripper, makes its first appearance near the beginning of episode 4. Ripper was discovered aboard the starship USS Glenn, in episode 3 when the Discovery's crew investigates the Glen's destruction and learns that the ship was destroyed by an unidentified creature. The audience learns in episode 4 that the creature was Ripper. Assigned by the USS Discovery Captain Gabriel Lorca to study it, Burnham determines that Ripper, a large greenish-brown animal with 4 pairs of clawed limbs and body armor segments with tentacles, is a cousin of the Earth species Tardigrade. While everyone also naturally assumes that Ripper is inherently violent, hence the moniker, Burnham comes to understand that Ripper is a peaceful, sensitive creature and that its acts of violence have been in self-defense. Burnham deduces through her investigation that Ripper has an affinity for mycelial spores, a hypothesis she confirms and shares with Lieutenant Stamets. Further investigation reveals that Ripper was used by the crew of the USS Glen as the missing link necessary to operate its own dash drive. As described in episode 5, Ripper is able to overcome the mycelial spore drive's limitations because, like its microscopic cousins on Earth, the tardigrade is able to incorporate foreign DNA into its own genome via horizontal gene transfer. When Ripper borrows DNA from the mycelium, he's granted an all-access travel pass. Having made this discovery, Stamets connects Ripper to the dash drive and facilitates several mycelial jumps. However, Burnham becomes concerned when it's apparent that the jumps are taking an adverse toll on Ripper. After one jump made in an effort to rescue Captain Lorca, Ripper enters a state of cryptobiosis, a process by which Ripper reduces its body water content to less than 1% and curls up into a self-protective ball, depleted and unable to move. With the help of the medical officer Hugh Culber, Lieutenant Stamets' partner Burnham convinces Stamets to find an alternative means to run the drive. Under pressure to save Captain Lorca from the Klingons, Stamets injects himself with Ripper's DNA, giving him the same horizontal gene transfer capability as Ripper, and thereby allowing Stamets to connect himself to the dash drive in Ripper's place. This proves successful, and the crew have found an alternative means of operating the mycelial spore drive. At the conclusion of episode 5, Burnham thus releases Ripper into open space, and Ripper departs through the subspace mycelial spore network. It seems a lot more detailed than what Mr. Abdin had created, so I'm still not entirely sure that I would find for a substantial similarity. Episodes 4 and 5 are the only episodes in which Ripper makes an appearance. As shown in the images above, unlike Abdin's tardigrade, Ripper is not blue, and it's only the mycelial spores in which Ripper at times appears that are blue. So sometimes Ripper appears as a blue color, which I think is what the court was saying when they said that it was simply a lighting effect, like when he was in the blue water-colored tub. Unlike Abdin's tardigrade, Discovery does not employ a tardigrade hug method, but rather uses the tardigrade's DNA to navigate a universal subspace mycelial spore network that has no analog in Abdin's work. In sum, other than the common use of a tardigrade, the only similarities are that both tardigrades are enlarged and can move through space. Space-traveling tardigrades, including enlarged fictional ones, are of course not original to Abdin. So then they go over the blonde white male, the dark complexion homosexual male with black hair, African American female and redhead, and say that everything else about them is different other than those coincidences. Those coincidences are not going to reach anything more than a level of Senefair, which is an unprotectable idea. So paging through this, because there's actually 20 more pages to go, they're basically going to summarize, I think, what we already know. Not that reasonable people can't disagree here, but I think we already know what the two sides have said. So I don't know that we're going to extract any more enjoyment out of this by going through their arguments further. But let's skim at least. There are no actionable similarities between the parties' tardigrade characters, says CBS. They seem to be different to me, but we see what Abdin is trying to say. He's trying to say that his tardigrade character contains enough original expression to warrant copyright protection, but that does not support his claims according to CBS. Copyright infringement claim requires both copyrightability and substantial similarity. So CBS is addressing that he's allowed to make his own character, but that it also has to be substantially similar in order to be copyright infringement. That the other similarities are all based on stock character elements, Senefair, basically. And then they go into their legal argument. Copying is illegal when a substantial similarity exists between defendant's work and the protectable elements of plaintiffs, and they're going to say that there aren't enough substantial similarities in protectable elements for this to be copyright infringement. When the defendant's work contains only non-copyrightable elements of plaintiff's work, and no reasonable jury properly instructed could find that the two works are substantially similar, then the circuit court, or rather district court, should dismiss the copyright claims. So I'm just going to look at the summary here. Abdin does not own the basic concept of an enlarged space-traveling tardigrade, and that's where the substantial similarity ends. So what I'm seeing here in this example is that an actual tardigrade looks like this. This was his tardigrade bear hug character, and this was theirs. And no, in their example, they do not look similar. They look similar in the sense that they both look like a drawing of a tardigrade, but they're definitely two different drawings of a tardigrade. Let's see what else we've got. There was Captain Tardigrade in Space, which was not Abdin's creation. That's, I guess, Ian Miller here. And that predated Abdin's work, so it's not even like he created the tardigrade in space concept. And even then, I'm not sure that they need to rely on that. Let's see what else they say. Abdin's tardigrade contains copyrightable expression is irrelevant to the substantial similarity determination. Abdin's opening brief attempts to confuse the straightforward substantial similarity inquiry with the proposition that this appeal hinges on whether his tardigrade contains sufficient originality to merit any copyrightable expression at all. In determining whether a work is copyrightable, the standard is whether the work contains sufficient originality. Abdin erroneously mingles the standards for originality and the test for infringement. This improper conflation of the distinct elements infuses virtually the entirety of Abdin's opening brief, which repeatedly attacks the incorrect strawman premise that Abdin's claims were dismissed based on a finding of non-copyrightability or the lack of originality. To the contrary, the district court dismissed Abdin's claims because Star Trek Discovery and plaintiff's video games are not substantially similar as a matter of law. The central question presented is not whether Abdin's work as a whole is entitled to copyright protection, so they're conceding that yes, Abdin's work can be copyright protected. They're just saying it's not substantially similar to theirs, and we should focus on that. So none of the characters' similarities are actionable. Even though Abdin's tardigrade may be copyrightable, there is no substantial similarity between the two characters, as explained above. So yeah, I'm still very concerned that Mr. Abdin may not win this appeal, because I think the district court still, even in doing an analysis that Anas is not happy with, that the district court may still have done enough of an analysis to conclude that the complaint should be dismissed. But if you ever wonder why district courts do give reasoned opinions, it's because then if they didn't give a sufficient reason, then Mr. Abdin's argument would be, hey, you didn't give a reason, here's all my reasons. And then the Court of Appeals might have to say, hey, we don't have a record on which to look at the findings of fact, so send it back. Or if the court gives reasoning, but it's insufficient, then you get something like this, where the plaintiff is like, hey, you didn't use the right test. You should have used the totality of the circumstances, or totality of the feel, concept and feel and aggregate test and all that. And so we didn't like the test that you used. So the district court sometimes will go into tremendous detail, kind of like we saw in the Zootopia lawsuit, in order to help head off any future appeal, and give the appeals court, in the event of an appeal, to give the appeals court enough information to make a decision that doesn't have to get remanded back to the lower court. Lower courts, I'm assuming judges don't like to have cases reopened on remand. It's extra work, and you were wrong, so it's like, oh, I've got to work on this thing I was wrong about. Judges are supposed to take that in stride, of course, and not be unfair or biased or something, but I'm assuming that that's frustrating. So the judge likes to do enough, and the judge below felt that they did enough and stopped where they did instead of going further. we'll have to wait for the Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit to rule on this appeal to figure out whether the lower court did enough. I'm leaning towards the fact that the lower court did enough, and maybe there wasn't enough similarity or even time for CBS to copy directly from Mr. Abdin's Tardigrades creation. So that is our show, everyone. I'm Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. Thank you very much to all of you who make this channel possible with your financial support. If you would please consider financially supporting us on a monthly basis on patreon.com/ljfrench and sponsors.com/law. The $50 plus supporters for the month of February are Aspernari, Video Demonetized, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Eevi, Kyle Mudrak, Michael Pearce, Spirit Bear, Jan Negrey, Daniel Perez, Blackleaf, Joe Tyson, Benjamin Hitov, Stephen, Cute Grills in Your Area, Ottah, Kysal, and Longreach Jones. And the $5 plus supporters are scrolling on the LED panel behind me. I did get you guys up there. All of you are in the description of the videos below. I appreciate your support. We're going to try and file this thing as a nonprofit corporation, 501c3 and everything. I'm going to work on doing that in March, so I really appreciate your support. We might even do a GoFundMe at that point. And then at some point, your donations, where law applies, will be tax deductible, but we'll have to wait until that happens before it actually is yet. So that's not happening yet, but it's happening in the near future. I'm Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. I love you all. Thank you so much for your support and your love, and I will see you in the videos that drop. Bye. You to drop the ball. You have not learned to drop the ball. She'll go get the second one. That's my boy. That's my Nico boy.